the holiday of Shabu'ot. It's a day when we celebrate and commemorate our national treasure, which was handed down from generation to generation as an inheritance. What am I talking about? So, an inheritance in Hebrew is known as a Yerusha or a Morasha, and of course the Torah is our national inheritance, as it says, Torah Siva Lanu Moshe, Morasha Kilat Yaakov. But in addition to that, there's also a second national treasure, a national inheritance, and that is wealth. Pshuto kemashma'o, a wealth that was handed down from generation to generation. So in this video, I'm going to tell the story of that second national treasure. It'll teach us, of course, about the Torah as well. And to do that, I came to this special place known as Maresha. Maresha was an ancient city of Yehuda. It is along the coastal plain, Shfelat Yehuda, and then between there and the mountains, the Hare Yehuda, the road to Hebron travels up the valley down there. And below me are remains of the ancient city of Maresha. Maresha has the same letters as Morasha, and we'll see that it's very intertwined with this inheritance, both the Torah and the money, the wealth inheritance. The story is told in Masechet Pesachim Talmud Babli that after we had all this wealth that we left us from Mitzrayim, it was handed out from generation to generation all the way up to the days of Shlomo HaMelech. He didn't use it to build the Beit HaMikdash. He used other wealth from the conquests of his father David. That money he set aside in the vaults of the temple and of the palace as a sort of heirloom to remember the covenant of Brit Ben B'Tarim with Abraham, how God promised us we would leave B'Rechush Gadol with great gold and silver. But in the days of his son Rehaboam, that wealth was taken back by the Egyptians. It was Melech Sheshach, the Paro of Mitzrayim, and he came in a military campaign. He ransacked Yehuda and Yerushalayim, and he took all of that wealth with him. Now, the interesting thing about Rehaboam is that at the beginning of his reign, he was on a very righteous path. After being rattled by the rebellion of the northern tribes and the warnings of the prophet in those days, whose name was Shemaiah, he went on a campaign to fortify cities throughout his kingdom, including the city of Maresha, perhaps symbolizing his commitment to that national inheritance. However, after 3 years, he perhaps believed that he had unconditional legitimacy because of his father Shlomo and his grandfather David. That's when he veered off the path, and in the 5th year of his reign is when all the treasures were plundered. Now, it happened in the days of Rehaboam's grandson, who was Asa, Melech Yehuda, that there was a great movement of Teshubah, return to the Torah and to the Mitzvot, to that Morasha, that national treasure that is the Torah. And with it came an opportunity to retrieve the other national treasure, which is the wealth that was stolen back by the Egyptians. And it was the successor of Sheshach, who was Zerah HaKushi, Zerah from Kush, which is today Sudan or Ethiopia. He stole the wealth from the Egyptians, or perhaps he was working together with the Egyptians, and he came to do battle with Yehuda, and they met at this symbolic place of Maresha. The battle took place down in the valley, which is along the road that leads up to the mountains to Hare Yehuda, to Hebron. And even though we were outnumbered, as usual, they had 1 million soldiers, we had just 580,000. We won the battle because HaKadosh Baruch Hu was on our side. And thus, by returning to the Torah, we retrieved the other Morasha, that other national treasure, the wealth, the gold and silver, which Asa brought back to Yerushalayim. And he made a great gathering and a renewal of the covenant of the oath of the Shabu'ot on the holiday of Shabu'ot. And symbolically, he offered sacrifices, 700 cattle and 7,000 sheep, the number Sheba, of course, connected to Shabu'ot. And I think that the takeaway message from this story, the lesson we can learn, is that just like we have 2 national inheritances, each person also has 2 inheritances that they leave behind when they pass away. One is the wealth, but the other is their Torah, their teaching, their way of life, how they lived. And it's incumbent upon us on the holiday of Shabu'ot to think about what the Morasha, others, our loved ones who have passed on, have left us, and what we want to leave behind when we leave this world. So thank you for watching. Hag Sameach and Mo'adim L'Simcha.